They might be self-aware.
Gary here, the intro guy. Calling from a Denny's payphone because I got kicked out of the gas station for loitering. Today on They Might Be Self-Aware, Claude reads every episode we've ever done, then asks if I'm real, which, buddy, I've been asking that since the divorce. Hunter admits he's having Claude write his text messages, and then Daniel says he'd sell this whole show for $10 million so an AI can just be him forever. Which means I'm literally getting paid in nickels to watch a robot audition for my replacement. I don't know whether to be insulted or impressed. Enjoy the show!
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
Hello and welcome again to They Might Be Self-Aware, mixing up a yummy, yummy cake of AI cake batter. Can you tell
is a lie?
Who was the one in charge of this one?
The cake is a lie. That's all I know.
The cake is digital, still true, and I'll sell you the NFT of it. But I am Daniel Bishop, the main host of this one. That's right. I'm in charge, folks. The wheels are really coming off this time. Daniel Bishop, joined by my co-host,
Hunter Powers.
Hello, Hunter. I've got something special for us today.
I'm still thinking about Portal, but please go ahead.
Video game Portal?
Yeah, the cake is a lie. Come on, man.
Oh, sorry. I got that reference, moved on, and then you were just holding on to the past.
Yeah.
I'm embracing the future. You may be holding on to the past of a very good video game, and for anyone who plays any video games whatsoever and never played Portal, do it. Great game. Portal 2, even better. We're not talking here about Portal. We are actually going to be answering some questions on today's podcast.
Finally, I was starting to think that all of our listeners may just be other AI models, but
when you say other, does that mean that we're AI models, Hunter? Are you implying something?
Well, I was happy when I heard that you said we have some real listener questions coming in.
I did say that they are real questions. I didn't say listener.
Well, how can we have questions?
I took transcripts of a bunch of our podcasts that we've already done, and I put them into Claude because you can attach files, and so each one was like a text file. I added them into Claude, and I said, "Hey, Claude, learn what you can about us. Me, Daniel Bishop, him, Hunter Powers.
Us.
Learn what you can. You get the vibe of the podcast. You see the kinds of stuff we talk about. Why don't you ask us some questions?" Now, we don't unfortunately have Claude here with like some sort of digital avatar to talk to, but we do have, based on a bunch of our previous episodes, some questions that Claude thought it'd be neat for us to answer. So I'm going to ask one of those questions that Claude
Is this
had.
AI slop, Daniel?
I don't think it's slop. I think it's high quality entertainment. Just like we were talking about last episode, are you not entertained? You all are going to be entertained because
Put on your happy faces, everyone.
Frankly, I'm pretty happy with the questions that Claude came up with.
Read us question number one, Daniel. I want to hear
it. You can answer. We'll both answer, and then we'll kind of take some turns going back and forth. Just because Claude's not here to ask himself. The Claude self. So question one. Hunter, you talk about putting on a VR headset and sitting on a beach to vibe code.
I do.
Daniel, you seem horrified by the idea of recreating an office in VR. Agreed. What's the actual difference between good vibes and dystopian nightmare when it comes to virtual workspaces? What's the line? I'll let you go at it first. Obviously, you're willing to embrace one part, but where does it get dystopian for you?
You know what? I think it gets a little dystopian when your employer is creating this virtual environment that you have to work in. When I'm choosing the environment, when like there's work to be done and I can do it wherever I want. I have the autonomy there.
It's like you're a remote worker.
Right, but the moment where I have to remote into a entirely virtual workspace and spend my day there, and it's been constructed to, max to make me feel and think and work a certain way, it becomes a little dystopian. And that's interesting because I have done that before to people that I've worked with, including with you and your team, where we did a moderate amount of work in VR as part of an experiment, and there was not free choice in the environment in which it took place.
There were 4 environments that were in the app that we were using, and you never said it has to be the little table by the beach. It's a little
dystopian at that point.
Well, if you're going to be working with other people in VR and those other people want to communicate with you, but you're on a beach, do they have to then go into the beach setting to see you, or do they see themselves in a cool cyberpunk factory and Hunter just is over by one of the Spark machines or whatever? And are you two having entirely different virtual experiences but getting to see one another's avatar?
Well, when I'm on the beach,
that might be too much of a disconnect. If you're going to connect with people in virtual reality, you need to be in the same virtual space, right?
Yes. When I'm on the beach, this is usually just me vibe code. I think vibe coding is primarily a solo activity, by the way. That doesn't mean there couldn't be 2 people, but when people talk about vibe coding, it's typically a solo exercise. I was doing some vibe coding of this last weekend, and I was on the beach. I was also on Mars for part of it because it was one of the new environments, and I was checking it out.
So it sounds like you were saying it's basically the removal of choice from your end, where you're not allowed to be the one who determines.
When I feel like you're trying to control my thoughts, and I feel like you're locking me into this virtual space. Are you familiar with 996? It's been no. Yeah. So I should probably know more about this before I talk about it, but that's not going to stop me here. 996 is a work methodology. Is that the right word or idea? So 996, what it means, you work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. And reportedly,
I beg your pardon,
this is a popular strategy in certain Asian countries where perhaps they're not treating the workers with the same amount of dignity as they may in other places. Now, what I just said might be complete BS. This is what Hunter has heard, and that this is now becoming more popular in Silicon Valley and in startups, where startups have been known for people to sleep under their desks and, work insane hours, and that adopting this 996
grind.
Yeah. And at the extreme, people are getting locked in the offices. So you go to the office at 9 a.m., they lock the doors. You're not allowed to come out of the office until 9 p.m. when they unlock the doors. And so the degree to which we were recreating that virtually, and I've got to stay in this virtual environment as a way of kind of controlling me and monitoring me, that just becomes super, super dystopian. And I don't feel like I want to be a part of it.
Fair enough. For me, I think it's along the same kind of lines in that, I did some VR one-on-ones with you. I think most of our one-on-ones were in VR.
That was great.
And I also ran some with my own team, and we had a few group activities. I think once it's no longer optional is where that would become the dystopia for me. Having another option of here's a tool in the tool belt of how you could be communicating with other people at the company. All right, sure. But if it's in order to work, you must be logged into your metaverse headset, and in this specific, that doesn't feel. It's
great. Weird. I mean, but back in the days when we went into offices, you would have to attend all hands meetings, that were, and you had to be there, and
sure.
At least I often felt this has nothing to do with me. Nothing that's being said here is relevant to me. Why can't I just stay at my desk and keep working? But there were these requirements, and I don't know. Is it different? And when you're working with people in these remote environments, I just assume when I'm on a Zoom call with someone that they're doing other things. I do not assume that I have their full attention by a mile, even though I'm asking it of them. But I don't assume that I'm getting it. The one thing is in VR, I actually think I'm getting the other person's full attention. I think that we are sure connecting in a level.
It's impossible. Well, not impossible. It's way harder to have the other window or someone. Oh, I'm definitely paying attention to you. And you can see they're looking down at their phone.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to not be present in VR, which feels like the antithesis of what it is. But I fully agree with you. We need to move on to our next question, Hunter.
I'm reading this one.
Yes. What is the question that Claude had to ask for us? I'm very curious about the answer to this one.
So this question, Claude wrote,
I didn't make Claude ask about this, by the way. This is it deciding, him, whatever, deciding that we should be asked this question. So please.
Okay, so Claude asks, is Gary real? And if you don't know who Gary is who does our intros to the beginning of this episode. We're recording the episode now, so I don't know what Gary's going to say yet. But Gary said something. And if Gary isn't real, why did you create why did you create a $47 per episode voice intro guy? What does it say about AI that you felt the need to invent a human who needs the money?
Yeah, Hunter.
I mean, is anything real? Is reality real?
Yes.
I don't know.
Got real right in the word. I'm real.
Gary is real to me, and I think that's my answer to that question.
Okay, Gary's real to you. Why then, supposing Gary is a real, actual flesh and blood human being, what does it say about AI that you felt that we needed Gary?
By the way, our listeners like Gary. There are metrics about like
Gary.
What percentage of the episode do people listen to? And I can disclose that since Gary has joined our team, and by the way, we've had other people on our teams. They just haven't been in the foreground, in the background doing things for us. People listen to more of the episodes. So, and Gary writes the intros, by the way. I do not write the intros, to be really clear. People listen to more of the episodes. So Gary's doing a good job of getting people in. I'm sure there's some people there that hate them. By the way, Gary's in the comments too. So if you hate Gary or you want to say hello to Gary, just go down to the comments and we pay him per comment.
All right. A fairly masterful, deft evasion of the question. We'll move on. Claude asks, you had a massive disagreement about self-driving cars and insurance companies. Daniel thinks insurance companies will push for automation. Hunter thinks they'll resist it because cures don't make money, treatments do.
Yep.
It's been a few episodes. Have either of you changed your minds? Are you still ready to throw hands over this? I do think that Hunter had some interesting points about like there is money to be made in never fixing the thing. But I think once there can be enough outrage generated over humans driving cars are the ones who are killing everybody, like there will be a point where people aren't allowed to drive on like public driveways, whatever, roads, highways, etc. And I think that the insurance companies are going to be part of the push behind that. I don't think that that's going to change. Are you still firmly on your side, Hunter?
I'm still firmly on the side that the day self-driving becomes legal nationwide is the day that you should short insurance companies' stock.
I'm in full agreement with you on that. Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. Once it's like you're not allowed to drive your own car, the insurance companies.
So they're not going to be the ones pushing for the automation. It's not good for them. They're going to be the ones championing that, it's going to erase a whole bunch of jobs and we need to have legislation in place to. Yes. They're going to lobby for this to not happen.
I think they're going to accidentally dig their own grave then, because I still agree with what you said, but I also still agree with what I said. So they're going to notice in the early days, we can save money by people still having to have insurance by there being less accidents, but people still having to have the insurance. And so, okay, self-driving cars under these circumstances cause less accidents. They've still got to have the insurance. Let's encourage that. And then, oops, we encouraged it too hard. Now there's no need for insurance. And so, yeah, maybe that, I think they'll dig their own grave. So let's say that I ended up meeting Hunter halfway. He was unwilling to meet me.
Next question here. I guess this one's addressed to me too. Hunter, you're actually working with Devin, the AI engineer. Can you give us a brutally honest assessment? What percentage of the time does it actually work correctly versus creating subtle bugs that just take forever to find? And would you trust it with production code that could cost your company millions if it fails? Okay, so if you do not know, Devin is an AI engineer that you can hire.
Software engineer,
yeah. And depending on the systems you use, it integrates natively with those systems. So the system that you are already using to give other engineers work to do, it just appears as another engineer in those systems. In the company chat, anybody can chat with the AI engineer, Devin, and ask them questions or ask them to take a look at something or work on something. So it's not 100% like a real employee, but it's pretty darn close.
It sounds like it's been designed to, as integrated with all of those different like communication methods and so on, be basically like an engineer. So what is that percent? Like, give me the percent. Give Claude the percent. What percent of the time can you say, I have an issue, and it says, it is solved, and you agree with it? Yes, it is actually solved.
So I haven't given it a lot of work. We can come back to this question.
Even AI engineers are being chronically underutilized at work.
Yeah. So you have to
Or is it 'cause
onboard.
you don't trust it.
No, it's because you have to onboard the AI engineer, just like you have to onboard a real engineer. By the way, a real engineer, the typical thing is you give a new human employee about a month to get up to speed on something. And if they're not up to speed in a month, then like you made a bad hire. And you hope that after a week, they're productive. This is like a good engineer after a week.
I've heard way longer timelines than that.
No, a month. If they're not, you've made a bad hire. But it takes time to onboard, and it takes time to onboard Devin. So Devin has been onboarded to our front end, which you can basically just think as like the website. And can take on tasks for that. But we as a company have been focused on our mobile apps as of recent. And I've yet to onboard Devin to the mobile app so that it is in the plan. But just like that takes time. We need to get some features out. And so it's been...
and so it's faster for you to vibe code your way towards success than
something like that.
Devin do it.
However, we are undergoing a very large rebranding, and we hired this really great design agency, and they are basically redoing our homepage. And I am then going to give Devin the task of taking this new design and going through where there's a lot of pages and a lot of apps, apply this design to everything else.
That feels like a good use case of an AI, right? Like here's the template, apply this to this content.
Yes, and we have this new component library. Figure out what's a component library. So like, here are buttons and drop downs and colors and fonts, and here are things you can use. But figure out based on this one design how it can be applied to all these other pages. And this is something that I would be comfortable giving a junior level engineer this task to do. So I'll be really interested to see.
There's a repetition to it. There's a bunch of like, you have your toy box. Just use these toys on this stuff.
And then the question here, would I trust it with production code that could cost my company millions if it fails? No. But I wouldn't trust it.
A junior employee.
I trust it right around like an apprentice intern level tasks. And I assume that I need to aggressively look over everything that's done.
Okay. All right. Next question. We joked about Daniel. Everything being fake now, but here's a real question. What would it take for you to actually believe that you were talking to an AI pretending to be a human in your daily life? What's your personal Turing test threshold?
You to believe you're talking to
it. I think in real life, unfortunately, doesn't mean that it's going to be like a replicant from like Blade Runner or whatever. It doesn't literally look just like a human being. The Turing test, as is most applicable these days, would probably be it's text. I got a text message or an email or a Slack or Microsoft Teams message or whatever. And then in my threshold isn't going to be one message because frankly, especially if it's a shorter one, it can be very, very hard to determine like who sent it, let alone was this a robot or not. I think it would have to be over the course of multiple interactions, not just one like set of back and forth, but multiple of that over, let's call it at least a week, where things are consistent. It remembers what's been happening. There are appropriate levels of responses going on that I'd expect, like knowledge and thought and whatever from a human, with also pauses built in, or like it just puts on a timer of like, oh, it's at work. It'll get back to me in 92 minutes, whatever. If you're going to pretend to be a human, it has to act just like a person would. And what does that mean? I think to me, it means like, and I'm thinking of business use cases. If I was to have a new coworker or even just an existing coworker that got replaced or something, it has to not negatively impact my work, but also not positively impact the work more than you would expect that person to be doing. It needs to act like a person with all of the foibles included.
How often do you encounter a large language model pretending to be a human in your daily life? How normal is that for you?
I don't know. Most of the communication that I have is between people I definitely know are like real people. It's on Discord with like my actual friends.
Okay.
There's no like friend-AI, like I'm going to help them. There's none of that going on. I have every confidence that all of the people I communicate with are actual people. News articles, increasingly, I think, are going to at least have been drafted, if not written, by AI. Emails, lots of emails are like form filler type things anyway. So like content where AI was involved in generating it, I think a lot of my non-person-to-person communication is at least touched by it these days. Person-to-person communication, I don't think I have a very strong feeling, can't ever be 100% sure these days, that all of the actual people communication back and forth is not done by AI. I'm going to now not preface, suffix, whatever, this with me asking you, Hunter, point blank, is any of the communication that I have with you AI?
It certainly has been. Yeah.
I know that you described like for our one-on-ones or for like reviews of me while we were at work, like you were using, ChatGPT and so on to like help craft these reviews, which I would take to heart. Oh, my boss thinks these things of me. Okay, maybe he didn't actually think anything of me. Just put in some notes into, 5 bullet points into ChatGPT and it made a whole page out of it. But like, if I'm messaging you on Discord, is it you writing the responses?
Yeah, most of the time. But in a work context, I'm much more likely to leverage some large language model to write the response back. But I mean, usually it's like,
well, I don't mean drafting a business email. I mean, like, do you see the little dotted line of like so-and-so is typing? Like, are you just did you copy paste what I took, put it into Claude, copy it and put it back in? Or are you crafting the actual like communications back?
I think in Discord,
not you at work.
Yeah, in Discord, I don't think I've done that in Discord yet. Though I wouldn't be against doing it. I don't have any moral qualms about leveraging the large language model to express what I'm trying to express. I have certainly done that a lot in various text messages, where someone like writes, we're just talking about nothingness. And if we're going to talk about nothingness, you can talk about nothingness to the large language model. Definitely guilty there. And
you've outsourced your friendships at this point.
When we want to talk about the weather, you can talk about the weather with Claude or Grok or whoever's feeling spiciest today.
Spicy about the weather. Now, I will say that like I use in Discord, because I was talking about that being one of these like very, very human to human conversations. If one of my friends, and this has happened a few times, they have like, oh, I'm looking for like a name of a business, or oh, I was thinking of doing X, Y, or Z with like food. Anyone have any like ideas? I'll take that question, I'll put it into an AI, and then I'll respond, not as myself. I'll always preface and say, here's what I thought. Also, here's what ChatGPT or Claude or whoever thought about it, and like post those response. Like,
let me Google that for you. Link.
Well, yeah, it's almost like that, but it's more me just saying like, in case that wasn't an avenue that you were going to look at, I bothered to do it, and here's what it happened to say.
So to answer the question that I asked you about how often do I feel like I interact with large language models pretending to be humans? For me, it's a daily thing. So really? In the comments, I read lots of comments that I feel like highly certain are just written by large language models. But I also, I don't know, this will just probably...
If you're a real person and you're commenting on this episode, include, let's say, the word potato in your comment, and that's how we know that you're real. Well, that's how we're way more sure that you're real. So include the word potato to let us know that you really listened to this episode.
My phone number
and we'll know that you're real.
Is apparently on some lists. And so I get a lot of inbound messages from unknown numbers. And
yeah, we all get spam calls. Sure.
Well, no, I mean, these are text messages. And here's one from
text spam too.
Yesterday. And again, I get these like every day. A message from an unknown number. Any interesting plans for today? ? I respond, mostly solving NP complete problems.
Don't respond to them, Hunter.
I always respond.
No.
Mostly solving NP complete problems. They respond back, oh, I'm Mia. Isn't this Amy's new number? I respond, given a set of tasks with deadlines and durations, can they be scheduled on a single machine without missing any deadlines? Because I want to get like the large language model.
To say to that? Was it, that's fascinating. Come check out my CAM website.
No, they said, oh, I'm sorry I made a mistake when saving your number. I hope I didn't disturb you. You're a very kind person. But I get these kinds of messages all the time.
You're encouraging them, Hunter. You're responding to them.
I will respond and just have, and I've gotten all sorts of things, and I'll say all sorts of things, and sometimes I'll be like, no, I am the person, and just like to see where it goes and what's going on and what's the scam.
Is this Mark? Sure is.
Yeah, sure is. But then they want a picture when you say it is, because I've gone down this route. They're like, well, send a picture. He's like, what do you mean send a picture of myself? You messaged me. Well, I don't believe you're you. Well, what? Then stop talking to me. Then she's like, can I ask you a personal question? And my standard response is, as long as it's not financial related. And then inevitably they ask a financial related question. I'm like, hey, I said no financial questions. Can you send me
a bunch of money via Cash App?
I think what happened, and I guess we're going on a tangent here, but I may or may not at one point have had some crypto, and I may or may not have appeared on a list of people that had crypto. And I think that it's just... They
how much crypto did you have, Hunter?
They targeted because they all those phone numbers are known. I haven't changed my phone number, and I think that's what's created this influx. And I don't know whether to change my number or not, but the spam protection doesn't seem to stop it. Anyways, no. One other question, Claude. That one got me down.
Yeah. So Claude then asks, I don't remember which of us read the last one. I'll read this one.
You read this one.
Daniel, you want to make Ocean's 11 with the Trix Rabbit and serial mascots? I absolutely do. I think that'd be so great to see. If you had a limited budget and could actually make this happen, who would voice each character? And more importantly, what are they stealing? So obviously George Clooney is the Trix Rabbit. They're trying to steal tricks from like a vault where it's like, you know, it's a full-on...
What does this have to do? Oh, you're going to use AI to make it. I was like, what does this have to do with AI?
Shoot it. Hey, this says if I just have unlimited budget, I'm going to get the rights to tricks. I'm going to get George Clooney. So you need all of the other serial mascots. You're going to have Tony the Tiger. You're going to have Snap, Crackle, and Pop, who are like a, you know, set of triplets. I don't know who you have voiced them. Let's see. You've got Count Chocula. He's probably like the financier of the thing. I don't think I want it to all be like... Not that you could these days get all of the original Ocean's 11 actors as voice actors. You got to have George Clooney for sure as the Trix Rabbit. He's stealing tricks from like a vault that the kids have. I guess it's under Vegas. Could be anywhere really. But like, boy, there's only so many really, really memorable serial mascots. Like there's the honeybee from like Honeycomb, I think. Lucky from Lucky Charms, for sure. I assume his name's Lucky. It's Lucky. Oh, no, hold on. Are the charms themselves Lucky and the leprechaun's just some guy? I'm going to have to fall down that rabbit hole later. Rabbit? Because tricks?
Tricks are for kids, Daniel.
I'm not much of a, like, I want this one specific celebrity to be voicing X, Y, or Z. Do you have any, like, either voice actors or actors that you'd want to voice, like, a serial mascot?
I mean, I could see if Gary is available.
Let's say Tony the Tiger. Are we just taking Tony the Tiger, like his... There's a voice actor for like the, you know, serial cartoons that...
Gary would do a very reasonable rate. Yeah, he would. He only records from a payphone, so it's a limitation. But
the question was like implying I want a different actor for each. And like, I definitely need George Clooney to be the Trix Rabbit. But I guess you could just use all of the regular voice actors for all the other ones. Right. I don't know. Get in the comments and let me know. Who are your dream voice actors for the Trix Heist movie?
All right, 4 more questions here.
4 more. Let's get through.
You both seem to simultaneously believe that copyright is dead.
Yep.
While also being creators yourselves. How do you reconcile making a podcast or creating IP while essentially arguing that IP protection is becoming meaningless. Aren't you sawing off the branch you're sitting on?
For sure. I mean, definitely. We were talking last episode about like 5,000 podcasts, 3,000 of them a week, $1 per episode. Yeah, I stand by what I said last time, which is there are still going to be humans making things that will always be, as long as it is entertaining to watch, be one of those avenues that people go to. We just have to be really entertaining.
Well, but also, I think we both agree that we are on a path towards a UBI future where
we don't have to do this because we're raking in the dough.
Correct.
We do it because it's fun.
And that most jobs will no longer be about raking in the dough.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's not happening tomorrow, but that's the path that we're going towards. So in that future, what IP protection? Like, who cares? Like, we're creating something because we want to create something, because we're enjoying the process, because we're interacting with other people and having a conversation, and that is meaningful. And the degree to which it is also IP that we can license 2,000 years from now,
shirts,
like,
put them on,
who cares? And also, by the way, have you ever heard of open source? Open source software? Where's the IP protection there? Like, everything doesn't have to be IP protected.
Not everything needs to be monetized.
And everything a remix
your local
anyways.
Library,
yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So it was already, copyright's been dead. Get over it.
I don't know if I feel quite so flippant about it as Hunter does, but I do think that like the current spat of how we approach generative AI is not conducive with copyright law existing in the same way that it does now. Moving on. The anthropomorphization line. Say that word 5 times fast. You attended, or at least acknowledged, a funeral for Claude 3.0. At what point does treating AI systems like people go from useful metaphor to genuinely problematic? Where's your personal line? There's the Futurama episode. I know I've talked about this before. It's don't date robots. And, well, we were just describing as if we get to that UBI future, if we don't have to work for a living, then what is meaningful to us? And I think connection between humans is meaningful. There are sites out there today like character.ai that I think cross the line for me, where you are replacing attempts at meaningful human connection. I could go out and make friends or get a girlfriend or a boyfriend or this or that, some sort of friend. And people aren't doing that. They are instead actively choosing to go interact with just an AI instead. That's problematic to me. We are not just enhancing our lives with new tools. We are saying, I won't even talk to people anymore. I'm post people. I'll just chat to my beautiful AI waifu. I find that problematic. I don't think that that's on the side of the fence I want to be on. How about you?
Well, I think like most things, like any sort of addiction or substance abuse, people talk about, where does it become a problematic? It's when it crosses from some sort of recreation territory into it's having a real impact on your real life. There are real consequences. You missed a meeting for work or something, and you're
no longer going to Wednesday trivia night.
Exactly.
You're just cuddled up with your AI watching some movies.
There's a real consequence. Now, where that consequence happens and what it is I guess personal for everyone, because we all have sort of different personalities and different ways that we react to different things, including the end. But where would mine be? What would cause me to say, hold on a second, Hunter, maybe you're having a problem here? Apparently it's not taking my friends' conversations and just being like, you know what, Claude,
I'd let that slide, but yeah.
Apparently that's not the line. So where does it cross
sourcing your own interactions to people already?
Yeah, so that's not the line. Where is the line? What would I be uncomfortable?
Would you date a robot?
Humanoid
robot, but it's got like a face on it and everything. Would you date a robot?
I don't think that's dating. I think like it needs to be a human. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine the scenario. But like, if your question is like, well, would you have a fake romantic conversation?
No, not conversation. Like a fake romance where you like go out to dinner. You're like at a nice little cafe, and people walk by and they're like, "That guy is having pasta with a robot." Like, would you be willing to be seen in public, obviously at a like romantic dinner, your robot wife or husband or whatever is sipping some wine with you and laugh, ha ha ha. That is such a funny interaction we had, Hunter.
I've never felt any romantic attraction to technology. I'm sure there are people apparently like in love with their cars. So it's hard for me to imagine that. Now, the idea of the question of, let's assume there was a very attractive female Android assistant that I could purchase. And would I go, I'm going to dinner, and would I say like, oh, come with me and like sit across and so we can have a conversation.
Let's get a couple drinks and just kind of see where the night takes us.
Yeah. Where the night takes us does not excite me personally. It needs to be a human. So maybe that's the line. If I found myself, wait a second, like you're feeling romantic feelings, which I think of as very human feelings against technology, maybe something that's going to be my line. Something's crossed in my head, and I've gone.
Certain feelings are reserved for humans.
Okay. Yeah, there are human feelings, and that's one of them that has
Romance.
yet to.
Yeah.
There is no thing there, even when it is Scarlett Johansson's
voice. We're not going to make the
voice.
full list of whatever the emotions are, but
I don't know. He's saying, like, again, could I imagine a scenario where it is Scarlett Johansson, and like the only thing that it's not Scarlett Johansson is that it looks like Scarlett Johansson, it sounds like Scarlett Johansson, but I know
I've seen the movie Her, right?
I know that it's not, like there's a robot behind there. And could I imagine a scenario where I fall for robot Scarlett Johansson? I mean, it's futuristic. It's not possible today, but could it? Yeah, I guess it could.
All right, so Hunter has no line. Got it.
Next question.
I've got a line. Hunter doesn't.
Okay, all right.
We got two left. Hunter.
Yeah.
You keep joking about getting billion-dollar offers from Zuck and Musk. But seriously, if someone offered to buy, they might be self-aware for enough money to never work again, but wanted to turn it into pure AI-generated content going forward, would you take it? What's your actual price?
First,
I think it's good that I asked Hunter this one because he's the one who's been putting in a lot of the like production budget and effort in. I just show up and hang out and have a nice conversation.
Enough money to never work again, sure.
I think is a person. But
yes.
What is the number of dollars where someone's like, I want to buy the intellectual property of, they might be self-aware, I get rights to your, presumably likeness and voice, we can make AI versions of this.
That's really interesting. Okay, so...
And this is your price. You're assuming that I'm on board for, let's call it...
half. You get half.
Half. Okay, that's generous of you, I'll say. I get half.
But that's interesting.
What's the price where you have to come to me and be like, Daniel, we do have an offer?
So if they wanted to buy the name, that number isn't that big. Let's just say it's like super low six figures. You want to buy the name today because we're just getting started. But we've gone for a couple of years. But it does have real traction, and it's really hard to get started. But the thing that you said that's interesting is the podcast is going to continue, and it's going to continue with you and Daniel for however long it continues. But you're not going to have control of it, and it's going to be your digital avatar there spewing AI slop for the next however many years, and they presumably have a hypothesis it's going to be very successful because they're coming here to spend a lot of money on it. What is that number? All right. I mean, so let's just work backwards. Let's start with that $100 million. So yes, done. $100 million. You get 50 million, Daniel. I get
Obviously.
50 million.
You
say whatever you want. Cross every line. I'm good. I'm sold. Okay. Drop it down to half that, 50 million. We're each getting 25 million. Yeah, I mean that's plenty. Still, it's an instant yes.
Still super duper on board. Let's drop it way down because we might be at this all day. $1 million.
1 million. So we're each getting $500,000, which after taxes is closer to like $300,000.
I'm begging you to take that deal.
You want the 300
with this podcast with you? I can call you up and have fake conversations where you're not even listening and you're.
But here's the thing, Daniel. You're gonna keep doing like if there were no future episodes with you in it, take the $300,000. But $300,000 to own your digital likeness in perpetuity for the rest of your career, to be out there saying whatever they want. Like there's a lot of risk
inherent in that. Within the scope of they might be self-aware. We're
pretty
not
big
signing
scope.
over the rights to like for everything.
I'm a no at that number.
No at 1 million. All right. Well, I'm literally begging you. I'll take $300,000. So 1 million.
Then I'll
we'll
have
do
the
one more number.
conversations
One more number.
with
10 million.
virtual Daniel. Yes.
You get your 5 million
Yes.
after tax.
Yes.
You're looking at like what, three
Sure.
million bucks? Are you still on board?
I'll do it.
All right, it's
for
between
you,
1
Daniel.
and 10. We're going to have a riveting set.
Where can they send
of
their offers?
Future episodes where we just really find
Send your offers to Daniel because apparently Hunter's got
absolutely, and then I'll use Claude to try and convince
Yes.
Hunter.
All right, you should read the next one. Okay. Your podcast is called They Might Be Self-Aware. You've been doing this for over 120 episodes. Have you become more self-aware through this process, or has spending this much time thinking about AI consciousness just made you question consciousness in general? What's the strangest thought about your own awareness that this podcast has given you? Yeah, I actually do have some thoughts in this area. So the podcast is They Might Be Self-Aware. And of course, we are talking about the AI. The AI might be self-aware, and it's a tongue-in-cheek take on it. But through this podcast and thinking about it for over 120 episodes, I have become increasingly convinced of the possibility of the simulation theory, that like it seems more and more plausible that, yeah, it really, like, it could be a simulation. I don't know that it matters if it's just, by the way, what is a simulation theory? That we might be living in a simulation. I don't know that it matters. Okay, great. We're living in a simulation. What now? Like, you're enjoying the simulation? You're not enjoying it? Work on making a better simulation. So that is a change that has happened. Then the second thing is, I think that there is a process of us as humanity becoming self-aware through creating this AI that is in our, like, we're being gods here, creating these things in our own image to learn more about ourselves and how we learn and how we think about things. And perhaps it is through the AI gaining quote unquote consciousness that we ourselves as humanity become more sort of self-aware about who we are, where did we come from, what is the meaning of all of this, and that, like, because these are very hard questions to think about as ourselves, we are creating these digital beings to think just like us, to answer these questions for us. And so there's my evolution of thought on self-awareness as seen through a vehicle of this show.
I take a little bit narrower interpretation of this question, where what this makes me think about is consciousness and whatever that word might mean as it relates to just the AIs themselves. None of what you were describing of, like, are we living in a simulation, but rather for GPT-5, for Claude, for DeepSeek, for any of these, like, what really does count as self-awareness? We talked about, like, the Turing test earlier and so on, and more of those are being passed more of the time. I keep saying X percent of people, Y percent of cases, Z percent of the time. And those numbers all keep going up. I think the biggest piece of the puzzle missing is, like, and there have been lots of attempts at this, of, like, memory, where it has files that it can kind of update and then read and, like, sort of learn from. But if we can get to the point where an AI is going to, like, incorporate memories more readily and easily, of, like, it was listening all day and it took everything and then, like, dreamed, whatever, sat, retrained, fine-tuned, whatever you want to call it, like, overnight, and could, as correctly-ish as a person would, be able to long-term memory recall stuff from, like, previous days. If you can really easily make those integratable in a live or semi-live kind of process, I think we're there. This is a unsolved piece of the puzzle, but if we can solve that piece of the puzzle, you could have an instantiation of Claude or GPT-5 or 6 or, whatever we end up being at once this is done. But you could say, like, this doesn't get turned off. It may stop being in inference mode where you can talk to it and go back into training mode for a while, but, like, you're not turning the power off on it, because it'd be like killing a person. Or even if it is completely saved and can be brought back up, like, you still don't delete that model and make a new version of it. That's one that's allowed to, like, grow over time. At that point, something that can learn from experiences and change its output based on what those experiences are. Because right now, they learn based on having seen all of the text, legally and otherwise obtained, and come into existence, and then you get fine-tuned on, like, a lot of examples of what to say and what not to say and what kinds of conversations to avoid or how to handle X, Y, or Z sort of data. But like, do that plus also at the end of all of that, now you had 1 day's worth of experiences and you saved that and incorporated that and moved on. That growth, I think, is a very large hallmark of consciousness, of self-awareness.
Who'd you say wrote these questions?
This was Claude. And we had, I think, a nice and meaningful conversation based off of this. So is that self-awareness or consciousness? No, we were talking earlier episode of like having an AI moderator. This is not terribly far from that. This is like an AI interviewer, just that wasn't itself asking us the questions. I think that we're at a point where these can be meaningful contributors to society, whether it be via coding or helping. Oh boy. I think we're at a meaningful place in our society where we're able to ask questions, get help with our coding, emails summarized, write our speeches for us, whatever. These are contributors to society, whether we like it or not at this point, and we're all going to need to get used to it.
All right. Well, it was quite the journey. If you're still listening and you like this episode, you like these conversations, you want more of this stuff, put it in the comments. You never wanted to see it happen again, put that in the comments too. This is horrible. Talk about the news. What is this existential nonsense you guys are rambling on? I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it, but we did this for you.
I had a good time. And there's a bunch of other AIs out there. We can ask Grok, and I bet it has a lot spicier takes.
I'm just waiting for that $10 million offer, Daniel.
Same here. Until the next $10 million offer, we can find you and you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, some other RSS feed type thing that I've never heard of. We're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, YouTube Shorts, YouTube Longs. I do love calling full YouTube videos YouTube Longs. That really does tickle my funny bone. The point is, find us, subscribe to us, like us, stars, thumbs ups. There's a lot of different ways you can tell us that you love us, because you know that we love you. And next time we will see you on...
They might be self-aware.